whole point is to share it on here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Jukebox Ginger Show Stardom, right here on JG's Lounge. I'm your host, Jukebox, and we're back with another episode of Stardom. And we have my guest with me today. We've got Davin Rosenblatt. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Is it Davin or is it Davin? I'm curious.
Davin.
Okay. That's what I thought, so I rolled with it, but I didn't want to piss you off either.
No, I wouldn't get pissed off.
I do always want to give a shout out to my audience. Hey, we've been hitting about 53,000 monthly views across all the social media platforms. And I always like to tell you guys, if it wasn't for you, I'd still be doing this, but it's always nice to have an audience. So thank you all for that. Hey, Davin, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Oh, let's see. My phone's going off right now. I still have a landline. How about that?
Oh, man, what's a landline?
I still have two landlines. I am a professional stand-up comedian for around 25 years. I am writing a screenplay, a TV show with your buddy Sean Shank. Oh, I have my own nationally syndicated radio show, Davin's Den, which is also on podcast, in which you'll be hosting the video portion of. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a scammer of scammers. I'm a pet owner. I'm a Scorpio. What do you need to know?
Multitasker here is what you are.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask, how did you get into comedy?
Well, let's see. I'm a child of the 80s. So in the 80s is what's called the comedy boom. I mean, you had a comic, you had Bobcat Goldthwait, you had Seinfeld, you had Tim Allen, you had Roseanne, you had Jeff Foxworthy, everybody, and it was on all the TV stations. So Dice Clay. So I really watched it and really enjoyed comedy when I was in middle school and high school. All right, tell Shank settle down in there. Shank's getting wise. So then in college, I saw a fraternity buddy of mine do comedy at an open mic. And I said, well, I'm funnier than him, like most egotistical douchebag comics will do. And then several years later, I went to a place where the guy who was running that open mic was running it. And I asked him if I could get on stage. And he said, sure. Come back Saturday night, Memorial Day weekend, upstairs at Casey O'Toole's, which was a bar restaurant in a mall. And that's when I hit the stage for the first time. And I've been hooked ever since.
When you get those, because I know every comic kind of experiences, but when you have those like dead air spots between your like jokes, does it kind of just make you want to keep going? Like, does it push you or does it piss you off?
I don't really get pissed. I'm past the point where I get like pissed off. Like there's internally pissed, like laugh motherfuckers. But I'm different than most comics in that like most comics will tell you it's all about the audience. Fuck that. It's all about me. Because I know if I'm having fun, they're gonna have fun. And your buddy Shank, who's there, he'll see me. I'll give them a look, or I'll tell them they have to do better. Or, or sometimes people get pissed off after the show and they'll be like, oh, that joke wasn't funny. And I'll be like, yeah, it was. They're like, no, it wasn't. I go, if I said it, it's funny. There's a certain arrogance. That stage is my stage. And I'm there. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen, you've seen the Temple of Doom?
No.
You've never seen the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
I've never really watched any of the original. I mean, I like old movies, but I've never seen any
old movies. All right, stop it. We got to end this shit. That was in the 80s. You're calling that old
done,
guys. Wow.
I mean, hey, I grew up watching like Abbott and Costello and stuff, so I do watch older stuff.
There is a scene where Indiana Jones is being restrained, and the enemy at the time is a guy named Mola Ram. He's like a witch doctor.
Right.
So he reaches into Indiana Jones's chest and grabs out his beating heart and shows it to him. I kind of fancy myself like the villain, Mola Ram. That's the way I look at it.
I definitely have noticed that my comedy is usually more blunt. Like people like my sarcastic bluntness kind of throws off a comedy aspect to it. Cause I mean, I'm a manager where I work. And I mean, I haven't said I wouldn't like to say I've gotten in trouble, but I've definitely worded things to where it was questionable.
Well, because here's the thing, because you and I kind of are doing the same thing in the fact that we have to deal with the public, and the
Mhm.
public expects you, whether it be in your position or my position, to powder their rear end even when they're wrong.
Right.
And if I'm in the wrong, I will certainly apologize. If I do
Mhm.
something wrong, I will certainly apologize and I'll mean it. But if I'm not in the wrong, I'm not going to make you feel good just so you know. I'm not going
Right.
to. I don't have time for that. You're
Right.
wrong. You need to realize you're wrong and get the hell out of my face. And you're kind of in that same way, except you
Yeah.
got corporate. Although I have corporate too, which is, I guess, why some places don't bring me back. What are you going to do?
You crossed the line.
Well, you listen. There are places where they will support the comics, and they realize sometimes people are wrong. And then there are venues where it's like, nope, no matter what, the customer's always right, even if they're drunk and stupid or whatever it is. And if the comic says something, they're gone. Just the way it is.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of that lately. From comedians having them on and stuff. That usually the owners can be like really particular on what you can and can't say and do.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's always been guidelines, but it's certainly increased. So I was talking to somebody about doing some cruise ship work for them, and I sent them a tape, and there was stuff about COVID. Figure COVID's pretty innocuous. I'm not like saying you're an idiot for getting the vaccine or you're an idiot for not getting the vaccine. I mean, I don't do anything like that. But he said you can't even talk about COVID because there might be somebody in the audience who lost somebody due to COVID, and that will trigger them and get them upset. I'm like, wow, we can't even talk about diseases now. Okay.
Right.
I guess you couldn't talk about cancer
Yeah.
or or anything. It's really, I mean, you could just get triggered by everything. So that's where we are as a
Yeah.
society. And then there's the backlash who wants you to do more.
Yep.
It goes back and forth. It's always been a pendulum.
Yeah, I've had everything from comedians to musicians to celebrities on here, and I've even had authors, and I had one author that was gonna come on until he gave me a list of things that I couldn't talk about, and then I said, never mind.
Well, wait. A guest gave you a list of things?
Yeah, he emailed me a list of things that we couldn't talk about, and then he basically gave me a list of things that he only wanted to discuss, and I said, nah, this ain't gonna work.
I had no idea that was an option. Let's end this now and let me
Yeah.
fire off a list, and then we'll do this again. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I was nice about it. I was like, that's not how I roll, man. Sorry, ain't gonna work.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like they want to have control. They don't want to have something embarrassing or something they're ill prepared for. They don't want to look stupid. I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like when we do radio as comedians, like we'll roll into a morning show and they want us to hey, tell us what jokes you want to talk about and we'll lead you into it. And then you kind of like spit your material on air. I kind of don't like that. I like hey man, I'll just jump in with whatever you guys are talking about. I'll roll with it. But some people aren't comfortable with that. So I get it.
Right. Hey, so for today's topic, I found some memes and images about scammers, and I
Okay.
picked that because you scam scammers, and I wanted to start out kind of getting into that topic. How
Okay.
did you get onto doing that show, Scamming the Scammers?
I guess like a lot of people, I was on social media and I got a message from something that just didn't look right. I mean, to be fair, she said she was living in Hawaii. She's 30 years old and in high school and going for fashion, and her English was atrocious. And I was just sitting at home like, well, this doesn't make sense. And I reached out to my one of my co-hosts, Pip Helix, and I said, "What do you think about this? Think this will be good for the show?" She's like, "Yeah, go with it." So we just did it for a goof, not knowing what it would become. And more than a decade later, we're involved. I learned a lot about it. I educated myself. I know I've helped people. We've done a lot of interesting things with it. I didn't, there was a time where I was involved in a lot of anti-scam groups, and it was really consuming my life to an unhealthy level, like it does with a lot of people in these groups.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was just a lark, and I'll send Sean Shank something. Like I said, we're writing a pilot together about my life scamming scammers, and they'll just be something like atrocious. Like I was watching like 90 Day Fiance. I don't know if you're familiar with that show.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. My wife.
So, so there was a dude on there who fell for a scammer recently. It's happened a few times.
Right.
And 90 Day Fiance, the producers actually found the scammer, reached out to him, and they're like, well, I mean, do you feel badly about this? Because the guy had sent him money and fell in love. He's like, no, I don't feel badly at all. Just the stupid American. And when I hear stuff like that, it's like, all right, I got to suck it up. This is why I do what I do. Because if I'm running them ragged, they're not, ruining somebody's life. So.
Right. Yeah, no, and it's definitely bad. I remember when we had dial up and like when it first started hitting like AOL and stuff like that.
Well, before that, it was actually on fax machines.
You could scam through fax machines.
Yeah, I mean that was the Nigerian prince thing. You can get scammed at anything. Scams have been around forever. I mean, think about the guys who would roll from town to town on their horse and wagon selling elixir, right?
This is one of my things, the Nigerian prince thing.
Well, is that Keanu Reeves?
Just a little meme. This is one of a Nigerian prince. Really
is that Keanu Reeves? It looks like
that is Keanu Reeves. Yes,
that's what I'm focused on. It's a young Keanu.
Yeah,
but yeah, scams have been around. 3-card Monty. The hidden shell. There's scams take on all variations.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that you mentioned the Nigerian thing because it's like I've noticed a lot of it focuses like the scammers tend to be like, especially technology wise, they're usually like Middle Eastern countries or majority of the time.
Majority of scammers come from the United States. We actually have
really,
yeah, we have the most.
Now,
scammers.
What? See, I've always heard that they're usually somebody overseas.
A certain type of scam, but even the people overseas, like say you're dealing with somebody from Asia or Africa or Eastern Europe, they very often have people in the United States that they're using to money launder and they're paying them. And at one point they might have been a victim themselves, and then they just turn them into it. I mean, I've had that where I've had information for people in the United States, and I got sent a fake check, and I went to the bank, and there's nothing they can do, but they definitely have people in the U.S. So let's say I'm pretending to be a soldier in Yemen, just because I recently been dealing with one.
Okay.
So she wants me to send her something. Well, she's not really stationed in Yemen, and she's not really a soldier. So she'll tell me, listen, send it to such and such in Maryland, and they'll send it to me. So they have somebody stateside. It also makes them very dangerous. If you mess with them, it's very possible that they could show up at your door. I mean, you got to be really careful what type of information you give, what type of stuff you have out there. You never really know who you're dealing with. Obviously, there's all different levels, but I mean, the hackers are probably the most scary. I tell people all the time, don't do what I do. It's completely stupid.
Yeah. Oh God. When you start to dabble your toes in it and you kind of deep dive into the topic, you kind of surround yourself with it.
I mean, it was just something. I was like, what is this? And then I just learned the damage they do and how many people they hurt and the intricacies. And then it came to the point where I was, for more or less, an authority. I would go on TV shows as an expert and on radio shows as an expert. I mean, Sean's had me on. Sean's on your network, the Sean Shank Redemption. See, that's how you do a plug.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's right, Sean. I know you're watching this.
But like they just want my expertise, and there's always stuff to know. I don't have all the answers. Nobody really can. But you just got to keep on educating yourself. I will tell you this: the scammers are getting better. They're getting more sophisticated. The game has changed. Their tolerance for nonsense is less. They're adapting.
Yes, they most certainly are. This next one says, "That's right. I have $50,000, and all I need from you is $2,000, so I can get it."
Yeah, that's like a fee or a tax clearance scam.
I've seen a lot of those. Usually through like a message. Actually, I've seen them on messages, especially like being a podcaster on Facebook and kind of having like growth and being a monetized platform. I've noticed since I've been monetized, I get a lot more of them. A lot of like DM messages from people I have no idea who they are.
That's
Hey,
interesting.
I can help get you this, but all you gotta do is send me this much money, and then I'll get you this. But I get a
Yeah.
lot of them.
There's all that. Yeah. There's also an element to most of these scams. There's pressure.
Mhm.
Like they want you to act quickly. They don't want you to think, because if you stop and think, what the hell? Why am I sending the IRS a gift card or whatever the hell it is?
Yeah.
What we laugh at it, it seems silly, but if you're unfamiliar with it and you get this call or you get this message, it's a call to action, and you act. So yeah, listen. Obviously, you're a little bit more savvy than a scammer would like, because you're not doing it, but
Yeah.
they take billions and billions out of the world economy every year. That is a great plug, Sean Shank. I'm a genius, damn it. Anyway,
On that note, though, and especially because my mother-in-law is terrible at this. This next one is a great example of how a majority of them get people so easily. It says, "Want a free toaster? Submit your name, social security number, date of birth, mother's maiden name, favorite kind is cookies, second friend's middle name, and the meaning thereof in a security phrase only you will remember."
yeah, they get well. What happens is they get your security information either willingly or on the dark web, or they have groups on Facebook, which I've infiltrated, where they will either share it with people, with other scammers and hackers, or they will sell it. So again, you got to be really careful. I mean, like for instance, I was working at Sean's comedy club, where he's a general manager, Underground Laugh Lounge. There's a second plug for you, Sean. I don't want to hear shit from you for a long time. But so they needed my information for taxes. They reached out to me, not Sean, but somebody else did, who works for the club. I go, listen, here's my name, here's my address. I'm not giving you my social security number. I said, have Sean call me, because Sean and I are pals, and I'll give it to Sean, and he will hand it to you. And that's
Right.
the way we did it. Because if you put it on Messenger, you put it on email, you put it on a phone text, it can get hacked, and now it's out there. And
Right.
that's what we all do, because it's so much easier. Oh, sure, let me type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because that's the way we've evolved with this technology. Maybe if I didn't know what I know and done what I'd done, I would have sent it on Facebook Messenger myself, but I didn't. And to the club's credit, they were like, "Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm.
Let's do it that way." Now, I don't know what all the other comics did. Chances are, most of the other comics sent it on Messenger and on
Yeah.
email. And listen, if the club gets hacked, or someone's email gets hacked, or a server gets hacked, and it happens all the time, no matter how much security you put on it. I mean, I'm dealing with a couple scammers right now, girlfriends of mine. It's true love. It's always true love, that they've lost their accounts, and they're claiming they got hacked. And I'm just like, you got to stop messaging random dudes. Now, why am I
Right.
saying that? I'm saying it under the guise of like, so you don't get hacked. But I also wanted to stop her from messaging random dudes, so she stops scamming them. It's listen, man, it's a dog eat dog world. I mean,
Yes.
the old adage, is it too good to be true? Yeah. Like, so
Yeah.
say you look like me, a supremely handsome man. But like if a 21-year-old, 10 dime, all of a sudden is falling in love with me in a couple days, excellent choice and smart woman. B, probably not realistic, probably a scammer.
Yeah, and also that's another one. Like it's being a growing platform. I get a lot more attention from those fake accounts. Um, I'll open like TikTok or Instagram, and I'll have 10 new followers, and most of them are women that open these accounts like 5 minutes ago, and somehow have 30 pictures already on there, and they're all dated within minutes of each other,
Right.
and
Well,
reaching out to you about it.
well, that brings up another point. I tell people, don't post personal pictures, but we all do that because it's not real unless we shared it. So if you notice on my Instagram, if
Right.
you notice, it's all like, if there's pictures of me, it's all stuff from stage. There's very
Right.
little personal stuff of me, because God forbid somebody pretended to be me. Ugh, why would you? But like I don't want to give the scammer that information, and they always ask for pictures. They always want
Mhm.
pictures,
Yep.
and I try not to give it to them, because
Mhm.
I don't want to fuel it. Now, part of what I have to do as a comic is I have to promote, so I have to put certain pictures out there. But for instance, if you go on my my Facebook, which is locked down, you're a friend, so you see what I post. But other people don't see what I post unless I make them public. There's no pictures of my family. Like you have to go
Mine
back.
isn't either.
What?
Mine as well. Mine are
That's
not
smart.
personal.
That's so many people post all their pictures of their kids, and I get it because social media is the modern day wallet where you would take out your wallet and there's all these pictures of your family and all. But there's nefarious people out there. So
And one thing I've told a lot of the podcasts that I've helped develop and grow that don't have social media is like, think of it as a business portfolio. I mean, really, that's the whole point is if you're trying to get growth and eventually get sponsored and get stuff like that, and you have links to your Instagram stuff and you have content from your shows and stuff that you're doing professionally, that's a portfolio now.
Right. But here's the other side of that. And here's why so many of us get sucked into it. It's hard to push, plug all you do. They want to know about you. What's interesting? What are you doing? They want to make that connection. In order to do that, we have to put personal stuff. So it's a really weird trade-off. I'm not good at the social media. I try to keep it business. Once in a while I post jokes, to be funny. But I get why you would be out, having ice cream with your kids, go, hey, day out with the fam, click, post it. Because now, hey, I got kids. They like ice cream. I'm connecting with you. I get it.
Yeah.
You just have to understand what's at stake.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that because initially I had it a private and then I decided, you know what, I'm deleting everything. My wife can have all the pictures because I can access them when I need them. But I don't have anything personal on there. And even when I talk about my wife, I just say my wife. I don't even say names.
I do the same.
Nothing.
I do the same thing on my show. I tell my wife, my kid. I mentioned Sean's wife by name, full name, social security number. But my family, I keep very private. No, you're doing the right thing. You just gotta keep it vague because there's lunatics out there. I mean, God forbid, listen. My kid graduated 8th grade. I can't wait for next fall. He's going to high school. Well, now if I got an axe to grind with you, I could track down where that kid is. I could do something horrible. There's terrible people. It's sad. Listen, there's always been terrible people.
Right.
We know this. But now they have access like they've never had access before.
Yeah.
So
they can walk by you and grab your credit card information just by a magnetic, like Bluetooth, wireless, whatever. Now you don't even have to be within. You don't even know that they walked by you.
That's why you get these wallets that are supposed to protect you. But like, even if you're staying at a hotel on a business trip and you're doing stuff on their Wi-Fi, you can get hacked.
Yeah. That's why, like, if you attach to like McDonald's Wi-Fi's and stuff like that, you have no idea what all's on that Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, it's only recently, and I say recently, the past couple of years, I've resigned myself to doing some online banking, but I went kicking and screaming because at some point you do have to adapt to where the world is, but every adaptation seems to make us less safe.
Yes. I mean, what happens when internet goes down or technology goes down? Where's our money?
So we had a day where our internet was down and our cable was out and we had no phones and we had no cell phone service. So we actually, this is true. It's like a couple months ago. We actually checked the radio. Like, are we being attacked? Is something going on? We really thought that. Like, well, how could everything be down? No, it was just my cell phone provider was having issues with their tower, and my cable company was having issues at the same time. But it was really freaky. That's how reliant we are on this stuff.
It was just a solar flare. Getting really close. That's all it was.
It was the aliens coming for us.
All right, next up. This says, will opening this email be counted as a click? It's clickbaits, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anytime you click on a link you don't know, there's danger to it. I mean, but again, we're human beings. Wow, she looks cute. He looks sexy. Yeah, I want to see more pics of that. Wow, every time I click, this person has less and less clothing. That's why it's called clickbait.
Well, you get people on Facebook that'll like, share this to 10 friends and share this to, and if you're a friend of mine, you'll click on this. And it's like, I never do them.
But you know what that is. That's just a variation of the chain letter that we used to get in the mail.
Right.
Except this is more dangerous. But like,
Yes.
so it's like, say you get this is how a lot of people get infected. Somebody sends you an email. Say it looks like it's from AT&T, and your cell phone service is AT&T. Click this link. You have to update something. Boom! You click the link. The first thing you should do is, first of all, you shouldn't click the link, but you should check on you go into your the top where their email account is, and where their email address is, and you can click on it, and you can see if it's actually coming from AT&T or if it's like some fugazi Gmail account.
Yes.
So you can actually check. There are ways to do that. But I always say, listen, if you think that AT&T might be reaching out to you, and Sean just sent me an email. I don't know. I'm using Sean because I know he's a prominent member on your platform, and we're buddies and all. So Sean is an author, and he got an email from somebody who it seems wants to do something with one of his books, and he got all excited. He's like, "Well, this is probably a scam. I'm just going to forget it." I said, "No, don't do that. Go to the original source. Forget about the email. Contact the real website of the people that might want to do something with you, and see if it's real." And that's what you should always do, whether it's your bank, an airline, cell phone provider, publisher, whatever it is. It costs you nothing to go onto their real website, not a link from the email. You Google what the real website is, and you contact them. Listen, I got this. I did it with an airline years ago, and they told me it was a scam. I knew it was a scam, but I wanted the verification. It costs you nothing but time and a little bit of time to do that, and then you're safe. Never click on emails, links in your emails, because invariably you're going to probably download some malware. They're going to take control of your computer, or they're going to get your information, or they'll put on some malware where when you enter in your keystrokes, they're keeping track of it, which includes your passwords for your banking. It's just so dangerous. Most people don't think about this. Boom. And before you know, like I did it the other day. So I opened up a Facebook account that I've had for years, but I never used.
Right.
And I clicked something, and it said, "Oh, you got messages." But I didn't realize it wasn't where the messages normally are. It was on, and I clicked on it. Next thing I know, oh, you're infected, and it's starting to download. Click here, click here. I Control-Alt-Delete the hell out of that, and I got out of there, and I did a forced shutdown because I wasn't going to let it finish. I wasn't going to complete the scam and click any more links that they wanted me to click. But even I fell for the initial step. It happens.
Yeah. No, and that's how they do it too. They make it look like it's part of the screen or the platform.
Yep.
And I've gotten lately on TikTok, I've noticed a lot of musicians, people will copy their pages and try to reach out to you about, "Hey, I'm coming to town. If you can just help support me and send me a few bucks." It's like, if you're a celebrity, the last thing that they need is your money. Believe me.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the celebrity ones, you really shouldn't fall for it. Now, we did one on a celebrity scammer on this past Davin's, which I think you guys have the video up. The Love Fails. I think you guys have the video up. And so somebody was pretending to be an actor from Bold and the Beautiful. So they're contacting this 64-year-old woman. Of course, they get in a romantic relationship.
Yep.
And the scammer wants her to kill her husband, which she tries to do, and also send $8,000, which she had sent money. But to your point, if you're a celebrity, why do you need this money?
Right.
A little bit more sophisticated variation, which again, we are doing on the show. We didn't do it this week on Davin's Den, but we'll resume it next week, where I have a scammer pretending to be Elon Musk. But they're doing it on Instagram. Like, if you were like, you would come at me on Twitter.
Yes.
But so their scam is they want me to invest with them. And this is for my own good. And this has been going on for months and months. But what I do with this scammer is, obviously, I realize they're not Elon Musk. I make their life difficult based on the things that real Elon Musk is doing. And real Elon Musk, his companies are going in the shitter, and he's doing stupid things. So I'll be just like, I'm like, dude, you're killing Twitter. What are you doing there? Your stocks are down. Your missile blew up. You're a racist. All this shit, just thwarting their game, and they just want me so desperately to invest.
Oh, you know so much. Why don't you just invest in us and help us improve?
Well, I gave him the technology for because he was picking my go. Here, I'm going to give you an idea. Are you familiar with Knight Rider, the show Knight Rider?
Yep.
I told them that they should develop kit for their new Tesla. I thought that would be the future.
So, hey, most of the time, is it a certain person behind each scam, or is it like a group of people?
So, there are certainly crime syndicates. Sometimes it's one person. Sometimes you'll be dealing with one person, and you feel like you got sold because they will trade you off, and the tone is different, the wording is different. We can
Yeah.
tell. We'll often discuss on the show. Did fake Davin meaning me? Did I just get sold? So yeah, I mean, I've actually gotten them to reveal themselves on occasion. I've had been talking to the woman, and I'll hear a man in the background feeding her lines, which is always disappointing because I thought it was true love. But there's no real hard fast rule. Generally, men are in control, but not always the case. I'm dealing with women who seem to be lone wolves
Mhm.
also. So it's really hard to know exactly what you're dealing with. You are dealing with a criminal
Right.
because best case scenario is they've committed identity theft of someone and
Mhm.
they're trying to get money from you by not honest means. But there's also terrorists. The FBI said that some of the ones from Nigeria, they funnel the money to Boko Haram. Boko Haram is a terrorist organization. Of course, we know them. They took the girls from Nigeria years ago, but they also have pledged allegiance to ISIS.
Right.
And some of them are murderers. I mean, and rapists. You have no idea what you're dealing with, which again is why I tell people, I go, don't do what I do. It's extremely stupid.
Yes. Yeah, you're basically opening up some doors there, but you're pretty smart about how you do it. So it's
Yeah, but I
good.
still get scared sometimes. I get
Yeah.
threats.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a threat, it shakes you. I mean, now obviously some scammers seem a little bit more credible than others, but yeah, I mean,
I
it's
mean, do you reroute and all that stuff? Do you make it look like your IP's from somewhere else so that like when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, it doesn't come at you?
no, I don't. I probably should. They don't know where I live, though. I mean, let's put it this way. None of them have been smart enough to actually do a real Google search on me
Right.
and look up my show. Because if you look up the show, you'll see scamming scammers,
Yes.
as part of
Uh-huh.
the show. They've never gone that far. The most they've done is when I was looser with my Facebook, is show like pictures of my family,
Mhm.
uh, you know. But no, I don't reroute. I use at this point, it's mostly Instagram that I'm
Mhm.
dealing with. Occasionally Facebook, occasionally Google Chat. They want a lot of the Asian scammers. They do a lot of the cryptocurrency. They often want
Yes.
you to go to WhatsApp or Telegram. I think it's
Yep.
Telegram.
Yep.
Um, because apparently the security's there. It's harder to kick them off the platform. And I tell them I don't have those and I won't do it. And that
Yeah.
usually ends the scam right there.
Right.
But
So
yeah, like
I've
somebody wants to move you off the platform that you're talking to them on. That's another good indicator that that's a scammer. So say you and I met on Instagram and like, hey
right.
man, I don't really, and they're on Instagram, but like, hey, listen, I don't really go on Instagram that much. Here, contact me on WhatsApp. It seems pretty innocuous, but that's a good clue right there that you're dealing with someone who might
Mhm.
not be what they claim to be.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually WhatsApp. I don't even have it. I know a lot of people use it, but I also know that I've a lot of people that have actually had issues with WhatsApp and people trying to get them onto WhatsApp to talk.
It's just I think a lot of it's for good for like phones. Like my wife, when her sisters are overseas,
Yeah.
vacationing, they'll all talk on WhatsApp and they'll have group chats in there. Again, I don't have it, so I'm not
Mhm.
all that familiar with it. But like I said, the scammers really want you to go in there because believe it or not, I think Instagram is starting to crack down on it, and it's pretty easy to actually get somebody kicked off Instagram. All they have to do is ask you for money.
Yeah. And you
And
can get 'em kicked
Facebook
off,
was
yeah.
much tougher back in the day, and Facebook was doing nefarious stuff with the US military that was never reported any place but by me. But they
Yeah.
were doing shit with the army that was affecting civilians. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah,
I didn't know.
it's on my Davin Comedy website. But yeah, the US Pentagon was in bed with some people, Americans
Yeah.
that were quote unquote anti scammers, but they were using that power to target other Americans, their enemies. And
Yeah.
I don't know if the military knew exactly what the hell they were doing, but they were in over their head. And it wasn't really reported anywhere. I reported it and I
Yeah.
reported it on the show. But that was before I worked with the Pentagon.
Next up, it says, thank you, Wolf, for always watching and commenting. You've been selected kindly in my draw. Winner should text me on Telegram.
Ah,
Yeah, so this kind of touches base on what we were just talking about.
yeah, I haven't seen that one. That's
I
annoying.
do get a lot of, oh, you were thanks for actually on TikTok. I get a lot of those.
I don't go on TikTok that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it to promote some stuff. I can't be everywhere.
Mhm.
I've had scammers on every platform:
Mhm.
TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But I
Mhm.
don't think I'm on TikTok enough to get a large wealth of people actively trying to scam me.
Mhm. Yeah, and see, most of my focus is on Facebook and YouTube.
Mhm.
But I do also do Twitter and Instagram. The good thing about Instagram and Facebook is you can link them together, so you post on one, it goes to both. Um,
Yeah,
so I
except for
have,
with my videos. It doesn't do that with videos for some reason. At least for me, it does with
n-
pictures.
yeah, well, they don't do full video either. I mean, I think you can live stream now. They used to not let you do that
No,
because you
but
couldn't
even
get,
like a clip, like I'll put up like a 30-second, minute long clip, and I
yeah.
post it on Instagram. And if I want it on Facebook, I have to do it separately.
Oh, you have to set it. There's a setting you have to go into and then link yeah, because you have to approve it. Like post and video content, you have to approve it, and then it stays that way until you change it back.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you might have to mess around in your settings if you really feel like it, or you just have me do it for you. I don't know.
We'll cross that bridge.
Yeah. But yeah, the claiming your prizes also a huge thing that I've seen. My mother-in-law does a lot of Facebook gaming, and then she'll get stuff like that. Those
Well, what
Facebook
those
games.
usually lead to is, so we have your $10,000. You just have to pay such and such fee to claim the
Uh-huh.
prize, and that keeps on going up and up, and they run you around because
Mhm.
again, it's too good to be true. Oh,
Yep.
wow, free money! Look at this.
Uh-huh.
Did you enter yourself into a prize, a raffle? No.
No.
So why would they be contacting you? And like the English is really bad. I mean,
Yep.
if you're vigilant, it's pretty easy to see through some of these. But if you're not, I get it.
Mhm.
I hate I hate the word to use stupid because you don't want to make people feel stupid. Although in my
Right.
comedy act, I tell people that they're stupid. But like
Yeah.
in the world of scamming,
Facts are facts.
what?
Said facts are facts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just be vigilant, just slow down, just take a step back and think, does this seem too good to be true? So
Mhm.
many times, like with the romance scams, you'll be an older person, not in great shape, health issues. Wow, a 25-year-old Marine fell in love with me. I'm
Mhm.
so lucky. Really? Did they? Would they? I mean, come on.
Let's be realistic. Not to try to put you down here, but
Exactly. It is what it is.
yep, it is. It is. Here's one we haven't touched on yet today. It says your order will be delivered by DHL tomorrow between 11:26 and 14:26. Track progress. This is kind of comical because it literally says scam in the link. But
Huh.
I have seen ones where it doesn't actually tell you that. It's just a bunch of jumbled up letters and numbers.
Yeah, you'll get that on text.
Yes.
And yeah, that's real easy. Like, oh, a package. And yeah, I mean, how many of us click on it? But again, you could go, I mean, are you expecting a package?
Exactly.
I mean, and again, I don't know exactly how like DHL would track it if you didn't send it. I know how you track it if you did
Mm.
send it.
Right.
But it just like if you didn't send it, they would be contacting the person who sent it. They'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, your package will arrive between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., or it's out for delivery,
Yeah.
or it's now in New Jersey." They don't really send it to the person who's expecting the package because they're not the client. The person
Right.
who paid for the package to be sent is the client.
Right. And now with the apps and stuff, luckily, if you have like the actual app of the company, you can track your orders directly.
Right. But again,
And
that's because you're the client. You
right.
sent it.
Yes. And USPS, actually, I've gotten a lot of them lately where it's USPS that's claiming that I have, hey, come, you need to get your package. It's here, so and so. Click this link, and I get a lot of them.
Well,
I never respond to them, but I do get a lot of them.
anything from USPS should end in .gov.
Yes.
So again, a lot of people don't see that.
Mm.
With the military scammers, if you're dealing with somebody in the military, ask them to email you with the email that ends in .mil. They can do that if they're active military, and you can't fake it. So just little tips. I mean, we're dropping a lot of knowledge here.
Yeah.
But this is just, I don't know. I mean, I hope this helps somebody. I really,
Right.
it's in my brain. I'm doing this to help people. I'm not getting paid for any of this, unfortunately.
You do it because you actually do you get a thrill out of doing it? I mean, do you like doing this stuff? Oh, obviously you're still doing it, so
I love some of the scammers I enjoy talking to. I do. You know, some of them you can really have interesting conversations. You go, God, it's a shame you're completely full of shit. And
Now,
another
do you
time,
tell them that?
yes. So with some of them, what we'll do is when I know it's over, I will send them a video with my Davin's Den Scams the Scammers logo. It says Davin's Den Scams the Scammers, and it has like a couple of like funny things like "Good day, sir." I said good day, like,
Yeah.
or "You're a woman, baby," like from Austin Powers, and I'll have Great White song, "The Big Goodbye" play. Hey, hey, baby, no more lies. Hey, hey, baby, this is the big goodbye. And they can't comprehend. I mean, that's the beauty of what I do. They can't comprehend there's somebody like me sitting on the other side instead of them getting the jump on somebody. And I'm not the
Right.
only one who does this. I don't want to say I am.
No.
There are people that are better than me that do this. There are people who are hackers who can do this, and I wish I could hack. But I definitely have a certain skill set, and I definitely have a way of eating up a lot of their time. And yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it to a degree. Some of them are fun, some of them are funny. I'm trying to create entertaining stuff so it's funny for the radio show and while educating people. So yeah, I enjoy it.
That's good. That's good. I mean, if I had the time to invest, I'd probably do something along those lines. Um,
Yeah.
you know, it's a lot of fun doing, especially with this podcasting. You know, I started with COVID, just like, man, because I like to talk to people, and I literally was using my phone and a little pillow for it. That's how I started podcasting. And when I realized that I really enjoyed it and had a guest on, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this. Now look at me, I'm 3 years later. We got 11. You're gonna be number 12, the 12th podcast on the channel, which will be nice. And plus, I do improvs. I got an improv show. You ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Back in the day, yeah, the British version was actually really good.
See, I never watched the British one. I've heard
so much better. So much better than the American version with Drew Carey. So because you had Colin Mockery, you had Ryan Stiles, you had you had Greg Proops, I think was one of the original ones, but it was just so much better. I mean, the newer ones are fine too. Don't get me wrong. And you had Wayne Brady, who's talented. But yeah, if you can ever dig up the original ones, so good.
We do we do something called Burn After Playing. So I do I'll get like 5 or 6 different comedians, podcasters, whatever, and we'll use Facebook Messenger, and I'll say, okay, here's the skit. You guys get 3 1-minute clips, and then I'll piece it together into like shorts.
Oh, cool.
And that's a lot of fun. But my goal is to turn it into a full-blown network with shows, movies, live podcasts, and everything. I've even been reaching out to places like Pluto and Netflix and stuff about potential, getting on those.
Sure.
Obviously, I don't think I'm that big yet, but I'm going to continue pushing until it happens because that's kind of the goal.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like why I reached out to you. I mean, I was on Sean's podcast plenty of times. I saw the work that you put into it, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's do it. Because honestly, I told you I don't really do anything with the video. It just sits on my my Davin's Den Facebook page. We do the show, and it sits there. But like we've talked about, if it can help you grow and it can help us grow, I'm all down with it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm excited to actually get you on board. I do have one last one, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. Sound good?
Whatever you want.
All right. This one, potential spam. I do like that now it says that, because it used to not say potential spam.
It doesn't get all of them, but it is nice that it does some of them.
Yes.
Like usually a good rule of thumb, when you get a phone call, and it's not 100%, nothing is, but if it says like calling from Mishawaka, Indiana, for instance, like the city and the state as opposed to a person, that's an indicator that could be a telemarketer or a scammer of some sort. I don't answer the call from cities, and they can always leave a message.
Yeah, exactly. So. Now and this I recently figured out. Actually, my wife figured it out. Android has something called Bixby, and Bixby does a text to call. So if you want to answer it to see what it is without talking to them, you can hit Bixby, and Bixby will answer the call for you through text messaging, and it'll
That's
read out. Yeah, it'll read say, "Hey, this is Bixby answering the call. I'm not busy, or I'm busy and away from the phone. What is it?" And then when they respond, you'll actually see it through text message. And if you want to answer it, you can flip it over to an actual call. Or if it's a scam, they'll just hang up. They won't even reply.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if
I see. I'm
iPhone has
learning
that.
stuff. That's what's
Yeah.
beautiful about this. There's always stuff to learn.
Yeah. Yes. And I've used it so much since I realized it exists. Because if I don't know the number, I'll just put Bixby call and I'll just read. If they most of the time they don't even respond, they just hang up. But occasionally they'll respond, and it's usually automated.
Well, you don't want to pick up though, because now they know that this is a live number. A lot of it's just phishing. So
Yeah.
that's why I just try to ignore it, because once you pick up, they know this is an active number, and again, you don't know who they're working with, who they're selling it to, what they're doing.
Mhm.
You know, now the potential spam does not pick up like charities, for instance, or election stuff. So
Mhm.
that's still going to go through.
Right.
But you know, it will stop some of the scams, potential scams.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's wrong. So like we get a call from my kid's school to let us know there's a snow day or something. And sometimes that'll come up as potential spam. So
Right. Yeah, and I have had that happen before too. It's somebody, and they don't. What the worst part is, sometimes they don't leave messages when they should be.
right.
I've tried calling you the last week. Yeah, what was your number? And they tell you, and you're like, well, yeah, it shows up as this. Just why didn't you leave a message? You know?
Because we don't like leaving messages, and I'll be honest, I don't even check my messages a lot of the times. I
Right.
mean, listen, we cannot get lazy enough. We are careening towards a veal lifestyle. You know, if we could just sit on the couch and suck on the teat, and somebody can and we can use our mind to change the channel spasmodically every 20 to 53 seconds, that will be our nirvana. That's where we're headed to.
Have you seen Wall-E, the animated film Wall-E?
Back in the day, yeah, sure.
And they're like all humanity's living on this space shuttle in the middle of space, and they're all just these big fat people just floating around on these seats.
Yeah.
That's what I see us heading to.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to hope there's somebody smart enough to create this utopia, because we are getting so dumb, because we're no
It's
longer
pretty bad.
intellectually curious. It's amazing. It is
Mhm.
easier now than ever to learn about pretty much anything to some degree, not necessarily expertise, but to some degree.
Right.
But we're not intellectually curious, and even if we are intellectually curious, as many things that are out there that are factual, there are as many, if not more, that contradict that are not factual. So
Right.
it's
For example, like
what they used to call it, the information highway. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
information highway. Unfortunately, it has a lot of potholes, so be careful.
that's like Dr. Google. Like whenever you got symptoms and you Google it.
Yeah, I don't really do that. You know what? Do I do
No, I
that?
don't either.
Sometimes I'll do that for my pet. Like if my cat like has certain things, but
Yeah.
it's call the vet. Stupid. What are you doing?
Exactly. Just call somebody, man. It's so
Yeah.
much easier than trying to research it. Hey, I do want to say thank you for coming on the show today, and
Thanks for
I'm
having me.
excited to be bringing you on the network along with your co-hosts Pip and Joe. I'm sure I don't know if you've talked to them at all about it, but
Pip messaged me the other day. She's like, "What's this?" And I just explained, and she checked
yeah,
out some of your videos. She said you have a very subtle sense of humor. I'm like, okay.
well, yeah, I guess I've gotten pretty good at making clips, you know. Yeah.
No, like when she was watching your stuff that you put out
Oh,
there.
good, good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so basically what I told her is, I go, listen, we're gonna work together. You're gonna help promote the show, and I
uh-huh.
don't have to really do any more work. And I do the bulk of the work on the show anyway.
Right, right.
So I'm like, this is a win-win. I told you, I talked to my syndication company, and
Yep.
they're like, it's not exclusive. You could do what you want to do, and we'll see what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
now listen, if somebody's going to throw a bunch of money at me, say you, say them,
Uh,
hey,
yeah.
we want you exclusively on here, and you got to do this, that, the other thing. Certainly can talk about that,
Yeah.
but right now, there's not that for me. I'm not the Joe
Same,
Rogan
same.
experience,
Exactly.
so And my co-host Joe has been pushing for the video for years. And I think we were talking, I'm like, we were actually at the forefront of it. We were doing this stuff like a decade ago with
Right.
the video. It's
Uh-huh.
just, I just don't feel like this is a face that enhances anybody's experience. But that's where the technology is going. So
And it's weird because like the thing is that the more you dive, so within 3 seconds of a video clip is
Mhm.
when the algorithm either says, okay, somebody watched it enough, we're gonna keep pushing to the next, which is like 8 seconds or whatever.
Mhm.
And then if people are swiping away, it's a dud video. It does like if it's 3 seconds and everybody's swiping right through, they just drop you from the algorithm. They don't even keep pushing your content. So
Wow.
it's stupid. So yeah, it's 3 seconds is your most crucial. So you have to try and catch the audience attentions within 3 seconds. So for when I'll take a 4 minute clip and then cram it into 1 minute and try to just catch those, bullet point factors of that clip.
So you've been creating clips for me for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
Well, like you sort through it and you go, okay, I think this will hit with our audience.
Yeah. So what I'll do is whenever I click on a video, I'll skim through. Let's say I watch like 2 minutes and I'm like, nothing's really grabbing. I'll scroll through, and what I can do is when I'm scrolling, it'll show like a little highlight thumbnail, and if I see like a lot of interaction between you and your guests, I'll stop and I'll watch like a 3 or 4 minute section, and then if there's a starting point, I'm like, okay, I can run with this, and then I'll catch it until I find an ending point that makes sense, and then I'll trim it.
Yeah, like there are definitely sometimes when I see some of the videos that you go, I'm like, oh, he nailed that. He got that. And then there'll be other ones I'm like, wonder why
Yeah.
you picked that. We had funnier
Yeah.
stuff. But again,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking sit there and micromanage you. You're doing it on your own time. And
Yeah.
I think the more we work together, we're gonna like
Yeah.
we're gonna really hone in on what works for your
Yes.
audience on your platform.
Yeah, like the clip we did yesterday that I did yesterday, that had the Davin's Den logo on top. It got like 158 views, which ain't huge, but it's something. Some that I have hit 3 or 4, some hit 1,400, 2,000. It just depends.
Mhm.
It's timing it right, and it's a captivating enough right in the beginning, and
Right.
so it's always hit and miss, man. But and if
What
you
do
ever have
oh, I
timestamps,
think would you pick the one when I was talking about like election deniers? Is that the one you picked?
yes, that was the one for yesterday.
Yeah.
And you were like going like you were like real lively about it. So I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Well, I mean, because this is the theory behind it. There's a large portion of our population that believes the election process is rigged. And who am I to tell you differently? All I'm saying is, if you believe the election process is rigged and will continue to be rigged, you should not vote.
Right.
Stay home. Why
Right.
waste your time? Why feed into the rigged process? You're
Yes.
better than that. That's my point.
Yes. And that's my thing is I mean, I don't vote, but it's not because I don't think my voice matters, but it's because I don't have a voice on the subject.
What do you
I
mean you don't
don't
have a
ha-
voice on the
like
subject?
I don't know politics. I don't follow it. I
You
don't
don't need to know politics to know what affects your family, what affects you.
yeah, but you gotta read into it.
Do you have daughters?
Yeah, I got a daughter.
All right, so as a father of daughters, you know what your opinion is on, say, abortion, one way or the other. I don't need to
Yeah,
know your opinion, but you know
right.
what one party says about abortion, and you know what another party says about abortion, and you know enough what aligns to your values.
That's
So,
true.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if you look at it from a personal aspect, but I never really I
It's all personal. It's all you and we don't really do this, but we're actually better served voting in our local elections, the town, the
yeah.
city, the state, because that really affects you more. But there are so many. For instance, whether if you think Ukraine, if you think supporting Ukraine is important or enough to America's security, you know where one party stands on that, or at least a
That's
portion of one party stands on it, and you know where another party stands on it. So it does affect you. Immigration, although that's kind of muddled,
yeah.
immigration's kind of muddled, but there are certainly things that affect you personally. You might like unions or you might hate unions. Well, I
Right.
mean, if you do a little bit of research, you know which party in general prefers unions and which one doesn't. I mean,
I
it's
also
really
think that
how it affects you. And then you work for a corporation, and I don't know if they're unionized or not. I don't know if you want to be unionized. I don't know if you are unionized, but I would think that you would have an opinion on that topic.
Yeah, and for me on that on the unions, I think there are companies where it's beneficial, and I think there's companies where it's not.
Unions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, where I'm at, I don't think it's necessarily beneficial. But teach their own. I don't
I
really have
worked for a company where it was. I was a kid. I used to load trucks for UPS, and they had really good benefits. And you had to pay into it even before you could become part of the union. But that was a good union. But this is what I'm talking about. You know what works for you.
Yep.
So every election has a bearing on you. Whether you think drag queens, for instance, you might be someone who thinks, you know what, I'm not really worried about live and let live, or you might be somebody who thinks the last thing I want is a drag queen, reading a book to my kids. There are certain
things,
But I'm saying, but there are things that that affect you,
right.
So there is. I mean, there are things that maybe is above our head, like maybe tax policy is certainly above a lot of our heads, and economics can get tough. But there are especially the cultural issues. I mean, what's important to you and what's important to your family, and who
That's
supports
fair.
what. Yeah,
that's fair. See, but I never really look at it that way. You look at your candidates and you go, "Oh, I'm not really a fan of his views," and it's just directly based on the candidate and the group behind it.
The candidate is important, but you also have to understand, and certainly, how they comport themselves and what they stand for. But you also need to look at the parties they represent and what's likely to happen if the candidate gets into office or not in office, which again goes back to the local elections. So much more important. Your mayor, your school board, you have kids, is probably certainly affects your life more than the president of the United States.
Right. That's a good point. Now you got me more interested.
That's what I do, baby. And I'm on your platform.
Yeah, you're on my platform. Damn, people. So yeah, again, I'm excited to have you on. Davin's Den, everybody, check it out.
We should. I don't mean to. We should tell. We also are funny. I mean, we've talked about a lot of serious shit today, but I mean, we are ridiculous. I mean,
the whole point of the turn, so Stardom podcast as a whole is meant to just be off the wall and raw interaction. That's why I don't tell people what the topic is until we're live, because they can't rehearse it or prep for it. It's just raw, and it makes for the best clips. So Stardom is all about getting content, not just for me, but to give exposure to the guests that I'm having on. Sure. And that's why I call it Stardom. I mean, it's all about people who want a voice but don't have anything, have no recollection of what they're walking into.
I think today's podcast, I think we dropped a ton of useful information between us about the scams that are out there and how to protect yourselves. And yes, that is a part of Davin's Den, but that's not all we do. For instance, this week we've been doing this for who knows this? Oh Christ!
Better not be Sean. He's watching us. So it better not be Sean. He's watching us right now.
No, it's actually a comedy client, but which I have to call back as soon as we're done with this. But we did the Love Fails Valentine's Day, biggest love fails of the past year countdown. I mean, these are just funny, absurd stories. So there's a lot of laughter. So it's not all knowledge and politics and scammers and other nonsense.
Right. All right, so everybody that's been tuning in or is going to tune in later, thank you guys. Check out Davin's Den. You're going to be seeing it a lot more on JG's Lounge. And Davin, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be seeing you around, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, let's you and I, we got to get together, and so I can plug you guys, and you guys can plug me. We've got to do that later on. But I definitely appreciate doing this with you and being part of the family. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And actually stick around for a minute. We can talk just for a few minutes real quick, and then we'll do our own thing.
Okay.
All right.